Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast, powered by the African American Marketing Association. Each week, we'll bring you an insightful conversation from some of the best experts in our industry on how to advance our career. Join the collective of Black marketers across the world advancing their brand as we work towards creating a collaborative community. Hey everyone, welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Gomez. Today's special guest is Khalil Vinson. He is the director of TechFest Live. Khalil, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Michelle.
Of course. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Khalil Vinson. I'm a graduate of Texas State University. I graduated with my computer information systems degree. And I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. Always really wanted to run my own business and really provide a service for the community. And that's what I've done with TechFest Live. We're an organization meant to provide resources to youth and young adults, specifically tech resources, to get them well equipped for the future of our world. And what we really want to do is just build an ecosystem for them to come to be able to have a place of their own where they can learn these new tech skills and really hone in for their future.
I love it. And how did you get involved in tech?
I got involved in tech, honestly, just by, it was kind of naturally, I can say. I used to take apart like the car motor, the remote control cars and the boards, and I didn't know what I was looking at, but it looked cool to see what the inside was. So I would say I've always kind of had a surface level love for tech, and I just wanted to mix that with my entrepreneurial spirit, and that's what I'm doing right now.
So when you were younger, were you a part of any, groups that kind of helped you cultivate that interest in tech, or it was kind of like free-for-all, figuring it out on yourself?
To be honest, it was more of all of a free-for-all, kind of figuring it out for myself. I didn't really do too many like coding classes or anything. Most of my knowledge I got from just my own research, reading, and really I would credit it a lot to college. Going to Texas State and being a CIS major is where I learned most of the things that I know now. And then obviously after school, continuing to further your education without somebody kind of doing it for you was what has helped me as well.
So I know lots of times I'm not, I guess, a coder or a techie per se. Can you speak to maybe going to college versus coding schools or coding boot camps? The popularity seems to be on the rise.
Yeah. What I can say about that is college is a great experience. You're going to get a great education, and it's great socially. And I think that's a piece of it that people are missing. But as far as like having to go to college to learn how to code, that world just really doesn't exist anymore. Some professors may not like to hear that, but it doesn't. With YouTube and online classes and all these different softwares that we have to teach, which is good because technology is a disruptor, honestly, to a lot of different things. And when something old goes away, something new comes in its place. And so I think that's what we're seeing, especially also with the COVID situation, getting away from brick and mortar. A lot of people are having to, resort to online teaching. And so I think both are great. You can learn in both ways. It honestly depends on your skill set. If you're someone who, is a fast learner, you may not need the professor to walk you through everything. Maybe coding classes on YouTube, or I know there's programs like Code Ninja and different things like that, Girls Who Code. That maybe that's a better option for you. But if you're someone who needs a little bit more structure, definitely look into any STEM related career in college. I think it would suit anybody well.
Thanks for your insight. So when did TechFest Live start?
So TechFest Live, the idea has been in place for a while, actually, since I was at Texas State. I put on an event called Weekend of Welcome Festival, which was similar, but we were more focused on building the community rather than necessarily tech resources. So I've always had the idea of putting an event together like that. It wasn't until I'd say like mid 2019. Things were going on, and I just had this idea like, hey, this is something that's needed. I saw that the discrepancy with all these companies who are focused on tech professionals and not youth, which is not a bad thing, because people of my age and older who are getting in their careers or already in that space, they have an ROI for these companies, and they can benefit them faster than a younger person can. And so I really saw that and wanted to hone in on how we could, put an event together for youth and young adults that matches what some of these companies are putting on for tech professionals. And so that's where the idea was birthed from.
So you mentioned companies have some discrepancies. Can you speak to some specific discrepancies?
Yeah. Really what we see is that it's not necessarily when we say discrepancy. I know it's such a kind of a bad term, but it's just that they're not focused because that's not necessarily where they're going to benefit from. Yes, there's companies that do provide donations and things like that, but it needs to go further than that. Sometimes money isn't going to solve some of our biggest issues. It can only kind of put a layer over it that makes it look like it's solved, but it's really not. And so it just takes a little more nurturing, I think, and meeting our community where they're at, especially our youth. You know, there's a lot of things that are filled in our worlds, especially in Black and Brown communities that we have to deal with, and unfortunately, sometimes tech is going to fall, maybe at number 20 on that list of all the things that we're worried about. And so we want to be able to provide that, and I don't think currently. There are a couple out there, but for the most part, I don't think a lot of companies are focused so much on the younger generation when they should be, because we are the new, myself and the ones younger than me, we are the ones who are stepping into these roles. And so it'll benefit everybody. It's not just for the youth, although that's obviously what we want to do, but it'll benefit the employer as well, because you'll have this group of new students and new employees coming in who have already had these skills and they're already ready, and you don't have to do as much training as you thought you might have to do. And so that's what we really want to build. And like I said, there are companies that are doing it slightly, but for the majority, we really don't see that too much, and we want to be the first to enter that and really make our mark.
So I know you say you target the youth. Can you give an age specific with that?
Yeah, so we are ages 14 to 25. There are, one-offs, because there are kids that are some kids that are at 11 have, got what a 14-year-old mentally through education. So we don't necessarily want to, exclude anybody, but 14 to 25 is the age range that we're targeting.
So I'm sure there's a parent listening, aunt, uncle, whatever, and they have their child that is probably pairing up toys like you were back in the day, right? So what can they expect with Tech Fest Live? How can they get their child involved in Tech Fest Live?
Yeah, so TechFest Live, how what they can expect from us is we're going to provide a high level of information about the tech world around yourself and your kids, because tech is universal. And if your kid is learning tech, ultimately you are too. And that's the best way to really teach is the whole household is in on it. And they're contributing. So that's number one. Two, we're bringing a great panel of speakers this year to talk about the different sectors of tech. So we have sports tech, music tech, gaming. We're looking to get some speakers in the medical field. So really just trying to cover all levels and get some really great leaders in our community here in the Houston area and surrounding to speak to students, youth and young adults about these opportunities and what they look like, and how and for them to see somebody that looks like them, or that has been where they've been, or that has lived where they live, and can see that their growth and see them succeed, and maybe they can be a role model for them. And so that's what we're bringing. We are in our second year. The first year went great. We had 5 speakers and about 60 attendees. It was a great year, and we're looking to gear up for the next year. And then also just going forward for the future, what you can expect is actually an in-person event is what we're looking to do, and a little bit more interactive. Due to COVID, we are having to make some changes. But yeah, a lot of high-level knowledge, a lot of opportunity and application for those students.
Okay. And obviously, Marketing for the Culture is powered by the African American Marketing Association. So are you looking for sponsors, speakers, any kind of volunteers, any kind of support for your event, and the date of the event as well?
Yeah, so TechFest Live this year is going to be November 13th. That's a Saturday. We are looking for speakers, we're looking for sponsors, and we are looking for volunteers. So all 3 areas, we definitely are looking for, assistance and help. We have a couple lined up as far as speakers, but definitely are looking for more. So if anybody is interested in being a part of the event, please reach out to Michelle or reach out to me. My email address is khalilvinson6@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to get back to you, and definitely look forward to hearing from anybody who's interested.
Yeah, and we'll put your contact information in the show notes. So I know you're a fairly new graduate. You started this company, so I know this is consuming you. What else do you think we need to know regarding Youth in Tech or Tech Fest as the event?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
I'm saying, what else do we need to know when it comes to Youth in Tech or Tech Fest, the event?
Yeah, so as far as Tech Fest, the event, this is going to be a staple event for years to come. We really want to put on a community event for the city, for people to come out to and just have a great time, but learn something. It's not going to be enough for us to just say, "Okay, we had 500 people come to our event," but we really want you guys to get an impact and to really get something out of it. It's very, very important that our community attaches themselves to the technology world, because it's literally our future. And I'm not trying to just say that just to say it, because I'm doing Tech Fest Live, but just from the world that I've seen and being a millennial and looking at the world around me, it's real. And I just don't want us to get left behind because we didn't take it serious. And so that's really kind of the overall mission of Tech Fest Live is that engaging high level education for families in our community.
Yeah. And I love everything that you're saying and that you're doing. And I don't have any kids, but unfortunately, when the pandemic started last year, there was definitely we can see the disparities in tech, right? People don't want to go to school. So it's like the accessibility or lack of accessibility of devices, internet, Wi-Fi and I think that's, I guess, the bottom all the way to the top when we get into the career aspects. So it's a very interesting time. I'm proud of what you're doing, enhancing awareness in our communities. So it's very necessary. I look forward to talking to you in this regards, as well as people jumping on board and supporting what you're doing as well. So once again, is there a website? What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, the best way to get in contact with me will be my email address. Okay. You can visit us at www.techfestlive.com and check out our website. But yeah, my email is open and ready for anybody who's interested in talking with us, and we'd love to sit down and talk to you.
All right. Thank you, Khalil. Make sure we have those links in the show notes so people can reach out to you. Once again, thanks for listening to Marketing for the Culture podcast. Thank you for listening to Marketing for the Culture podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And of course, our videos are on YouTube. If you have a moment, feel free to give us a rate, review, or just comment. We appreciate our sponsors for their continuous support. Also, if you're interested in learning more about our sponsors or becoming a member of the African American Marketing Association, visit aa-ma.org.